to the Real Life Church podcast. To learn more about Real Life Church, including our gathering times in Yuma, Arizona, visit us online at reallifeyuma.com. Today's talk comes from Pastor Bob Van Horn.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Real Life Church on our weekly podcast. And today I have with me Lyndsay Ponder and Tamara. Good morning, Lyndsay.
Good morning.
Morning, Tamara.
Good morning.
I'm glad you guys are here with me today. Are you excited?
Thrilled.
Thrilled?
Yes, of course.
Oh, good. This is our first three-person podcast. And what you can do, first of all, is we've been doing these podcasts basically to get information out to the Real Life Church family. Also, our announcements of what's coming up, and also, sometimes things that are on our hearts that we want to share with you. And Lyndsay and both Tamara and Lyndsay have been part of our staff now going on for a couple years. And I've been doing a fantastic job both with them leading the children's ministry and in the youth ministry. So you guys are coming up against a busy schedule.
Yeah, really busy.
And so let's talk a little bit about that so people are kind of aware of what's going on in the life of real life. So I think the first thing that's coming up that's probably our major concern would be youth camp.
Yes, youth camp. We leave in 12 days.
12 days.
Yes.
Cool. And where are you going?
We are going back to Camp Pondo, which is up in Running Springs, California, right below Big Bear.
Is it going to be cooler there?
Oh, yes. Always so much cooler.
All right. And how many kids you taking?
I think we have about 15 kids right now.
Okay.
But we always get some last minute stragglers that sign up the day before.
And so if I am one of those last minute stragglers, or if I'm a person who's listening today and going, I'd like my kid to go to a week up and where it's cooler and they're going to meet Jesus and all that kind of stuff, could they still go?
Yes, they can. The camp is actually really flexible with allowing us to add people last minute as long as there are beds available, which it normally is because we always go the first week where California schools are still in session. So it's mostly Arizona schools that do attend the first week opened at Camp Pondo.
Cool. And so do you have all the chaperones you need?
No, we are down one male counselor.
And so if you're listening out there and you're saying, I want to be a male counselor, I want to go to youth camp, you need to get a hold of Tamara, right?
Yes, and it's actually what's nice about Pondo is they don't require a lot from the actual counselors that are there. You're pretty much there to be in the cabin with them at night and to make sure they get to worship and stuff. Other than that, when they are doing all their stuff, there is a hidden counselor cabin and they have it stocked with snacks and goodies and stuff like that. So yeah, it's more of a week vacation to hang out in cool weather.
Okay, so we got youth camp coming up, and then right after they get back, we jump into our vacation Bible school.
Yeah, June 20th through the 24th. We're doing it from 5 to 8 p.m. this year, and so far we're doing pretty good on volunteers, but we can always use more. So that's open for preschool, 3 or 4 years of age, up to 6th grade. Okay,
so basically potty trained up, right?
Yes, exactly. As long as your 3 or 4 year olds potty trained, we would love to have them.
All right, so Vacation Bible School, you're looking pretty good for that, and then you've got your camp coming up here in July.
Yeah, July 11th through the 15th. We're going up to Prescott Pines, and that is for 2nd grade up to 6th grade. We're really excited about that one.
Good. And you both just came back from the Orange Conference, and for those that are listening, the Orange Conference is actually a dedicated conference towards student and children's ministries. And both came back from a week in Atlanta and kind of both been looking at your ministries and what kind of changes that are on your guys' hearts. And we're looking forward to another podcast probably here, maybe in a month or so, about some of the things that you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I know with kids ministry, we've got a lot going on, and there's some changes that need to be made, and there's some refocusing and some visions that need to be cast. So I'm excited to kind of put that together and get that out there for everyone to hear.
Cool.
Same with youth. We definitely know that changes need to happen, and I'm just excited to kind of figure out what those changes look like to build better and stronger relationships with our students.
Yeah, and we always look at it, and it's kind of one of those, change is a bad word in church, and I don't know why, but it is. But now I kind of understand a little bit more because we've been in this series, Snapshot, and this is what it was all about. Jesus was bringing change to what they were doing, and unfortunately, it wasn't received well. And that's been true of every organization that I have known, every, whether when I was a Marine in the Marine Corps or working at it didn't matter, whatever restaurant that I worked or whatever part-time job I had, any type of change always has, there's always that, what are they going to change? And will I like it? We have to always, especially in the church work, okay, church work always changes, and it's always evolving, and it's always being, because people are changing. And so Jesus doesn't change, the gospel doesn't change, the message doesn't change, but we do have to change the way that we relate to kids and students. And so I'm looking forward to whatever the changes might be, because I know it will be our best attempt at trying to reach, boys and girls, and then those students for Christ. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I don't know, church looks different now. And so I think we have to constantly be changing ways to get that gospel out to, especially with the little kids. There's just a lot of things that need to change since church is looking way different than it has in the past 2 or 3 years. So if we aren't constantly changing, I don't think we're going to reach who we need to reach.
Isn't that weird? Because, prior to, the pre-pandemic, as I like to call it, and then we're post-pandemic, whatever of that nature, but church has changed. And I'm glad that you guys were able to go to Atlanta and be able to, because when I went to vacation last year and I was in Texas and Oklahoma, the things that we're seeing, the reduced attendances and the people that are choosing to go out to the river or to the sand dunes or not do anything with God and church, it's just not Yuma centric. It is a statistic. It is a fact all across the United States. Church has changed.
Yeah, everything's relational right now. Everyone wants to build relationships. And I think until we really focus on relationships with each other, with the kids and the youth, we're missing the bar. I think for me, it was a huge change in we really need to focus on those relationships and building with them so that they can then build their relationship with God and trust us that we can give them the gospel.
Yeah, and it kind of leads right into this whole idea, and it's weird because I'm just in that place right now, especially when I'm like week 5 into these messages that we're talking about, relationship, and that's what Jesus was here for. He was changing everything, and when I mean that is he was changing thousands of years of practice. Now think about that, thousands of years of practice, and he's changing it, and he's saying what you did where God had a covenant between himself and a nation was now changing. And now it was going to be the relationship, Lyndsay, that you're talking about. God was now establishing a new covenant between himself and all of mankind. And that's so, again, that is a radical departure of what it had been. And I agree with you 100%. Relationships, and that's what Jesus was. He was all about the relationship, just like we talked about last week. He wasn't into legalism. He wasn't into following the rules. We'll see a little bit of that on this Sunday. He was about people having a relationship with his Father. And the only way that was going to take place was through him. And so I love this series. I love that that's what God is doing in your guys' hearts about wanting to build relationship, building relationship with kids and students. We had a staff meeting, Tuesday, and I think I made the statement, and it hasn't changed over all the years, that student ministry is, 100% all about relationship. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that think it needs to be all about Jesus, and yeah, that's true. That's part of relationship. but it's building relationship with one another, and how one another can build relationship with their Savior. So it's a tough one.
Yeah, and I feel like they're not gonna listen to you if you don't have a relationship. And it's something that I feel like if the stronger the relationship, the more they're actually going to listen and take things in, and then have those questions and do open up and talk about things that they may not have if we take the time to actually invest in them, see how they are, build that relationship, especially because, with everything with the pandemic, they lost that. They lost that relationship with friends, with teachers, here at church for a while when, everything was digital, like everything online. And it's not the same as an in-person relationship.
Yeah, but it's also weird at the same time because we're finding out now that we're reaching a whole different group of people now online that we've never reached before. It's interesting. We've lost relationship, and then we're trying to build relationship with this whole unknown group of people out there. What was it? Adam was telling us that we have dedicated listeners in lots of different parts of the country, and we even got a couple people that listen to us, overseas. But our audience is certainly much bigger than it's ever been before. But we still have to build local relationship, and that's key. It is absolutely key. We've been dedicating a lot of our efforts in trying to build the relationship between all three services here. We've not done a whole lot of outside stuff at this point because we've been working on the relationship. Now, the things that we've done outside have been fantastic. And Lyndsay, you just did a bingo night here last Saturday night, and what you were pretty excited about what happened there.
Yeah, honestly, going into it, I was like, well, we don't have very many registrations. And so we had tables set up. We were ready to go. And they just kept coming in. And we had to get, I think, 2 or 3 extra tables and more chairs and more supplies. And it was phenomenal. Like, we had probably 10 to 12 families from the local schools. I know I talked to one of the parents, and she wants to send her daughter to kids camp with us. She doesn't attend church. She has no idea exactly what we do, but I spoke to her and said, you should come to kids ministry on Sunday and really get to know the kids that she wants to go to camp with. So it did exactly what I feel it was meant for. God was, oh my gosh, he was so in that event, and it was so simple. It was just, we were playing bingo and having fun and playing games, but there were people who don't usually sit together in church or at, potlucks and stuff like that. They were sitting together and really fellowshipping together and building those relationships. I think so much we are all about talking about doing things and building relationships and sharing the word and all that stuff, but it needs to be more about doing. It's not just about talking and, hey, we need to do this. That was an event that we really went out and did what we were supposed to do. So it was the bingo event was really amazing.
All right. So, by the way, again, I talk about this probably every podcast. The best way to know about our podcasts is to subscribe to those podcasts. And that way, when the new ones come out, you get notified of that directly. And so if you've not already subscribed, do so. That way, you'll be up to date on whatever we're talking about. So I want to kind of close this podcast here with Lyndsay and Tamara talking about just kind of a preview of what we're talking about on Sunday. And I made the comment in both services, and my wife and I have been talking about this pretty frequently because we've experienced this. We've actually probably been on the bad part or the bad side of this probably too. And, I'm talking about those of us that kind of grew up in church. Like I did. Okay. And, Lyndsay, I know that you're one, and Tamara, you're also another one that, pretty much grew up in church, and a lot of time that religious environment that we grow up in, we begin to love that religious environment, the church, the denomination, a group of people more so than the people that we're trying to reach. And so it becomes a point that we actually love the organization more than we actually love the people that that organization was meant for. And Jesus had some pretty strong words to talk about when we worship, if you want to call it, the rules and the regulations more than the people that are attending. Regardless of what they believe, regardless of what they practice, regardless of their believers or not. And Jesus really, he kind of comes down hard on those religious leaders and so that's where we're going to be this week. We're going to be looking at Jesus' confrontation, one of many that he will have with these religious leaders about rule keeping and making the rule more important than the people that the rule was given to. And so that ought to be an interesting discussion. I'm looking forward to it. And again, we'll have 3 services here again on Sunday, 9, 10:30. And then if you are listening to me and you prefer your message in Spanish, that will begin at 12 o'clock. So again, glad to have both of you guys with us today. I appreciate both of you. You're doing a fantastic job. It's hard work, and it is difficult work. And I'm glad that you guys are here. I'm glad you're part of the Real Life team. So again, that's my thank you to you guys. And hey, everybody, I will see you on Sunday, if not before, and looking forward to next week as we continue our podcast here at Real Life Church.
If you were encouraged by today's talk, be sure to rate us and hit subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you stream your podcasts. To experience other talks, videos, and live gatherings, visit us online at reallifeyuma.com or download the Real Life Church app. And again, thanks for listening to the Real Life Church podcast.